We're going to talk about the end game, so the interview process. So if you get an interview, great job. You have drastically increased your chances of going to grad school. Make sure you arrive early to your interviews, and interviews are usually conducted in small groups or individually, sometimes in large groups. So definitely prepare for that small group meeting. I was a little bit surprised when that happened to me when I applied here. So be prepared for both individual interviews and small group or large group interviews. You'll be meeting with both faculty and graduate students. Make sure you take advantage of meeting with graduate students because they can kind of give you a different side of the coin, like a different perspective, I guess, than faculty members can. So a typical interview can range, the time span for an interview ranges. Some programs you only interview for a couple hours, and some programs will take the entire weekend. If you're offered the chance to stay with a graduate student during your interviews, you should definitely take that opportunity. That gives you an opportunity to get to know the grad student in the program, and they get that opportunity to really know you. You should expect to have to pay for your accommodations and transportation, though.
Right, so for interviews, make sure you review the work that you've done. So know yourself, rehearse answers to typical questions. So a few things are listed here, like what are your strengths and weaknesses? And I'm sure when you go online, you'll find what are some typical interview questions. And I basically had my friend ask me those questions so I can articulate an eloquent response. And I did that several times. Then I had a friend who actually applied for med school give me an interview for an hour to prepare. And that was a little nerve-wracking, but I needed it, and it was really great. And so if you have something like that that could help you out, I suggest that you do that. A few things they're asking you, why are you interested in psychology? What do you hope to do as a career? Especially here, it's more research-oriented. So do you want to be in academia? Do you want to be a clinical psychologist? We're in clinical, We're clinical, okay. So, like in that program, you want to do both research and clinical, so kind of think of what to say for that. Why did you apply to this program is a really good question. I've been asked before. I'm a first year, and so I actually just went through this this February, and I made it. And so, and just like, what are your hobbies? They want to try to get to know you as a person. Like, are you a real person? Do you enjoy life? Like, why did you choose this? And are you gonna work hard? And just to see if it's also a good fit, personable. They don't want someone they can't work with personality-wise. How would your professors describe you? I haven't been asked that, but I would prepare for that. Are you prepared to be in school for so-and-so years? For clinical psychology, it's 6 to 7 years, and so I'm dedicating my 20s to this endeavor. Just I'll have fun in my 30s, hopefully. And just oddball questions. So it's really tough. Just be able to talk about yourself in a good light. It's like a job interview, so be able to give your good strengths and skills and know what you need to work on, things like that. I'm going over the slides, so I should finish. Understand what graduate schools are looking for. Listed here, motivated, interested students. Students who will not drop out, since it takes a commitment. Not someone who's just kind of interested and trying it out, but someone who really wants to be there for the full commitment. Who will be successful in the programs in different ways, successful as a student, successful teaching, and all these different things that you have to do. If in a PhD program, students will publish or interested in being in academia. So you have to be interested in writing a lot, being critiqued, publishing, presenting posters at conferences. It's really, if you really don't want to be in a career where you have to stand up and talk, that's something that you have to decide if you want to work on that and be really good at it, or good enough, or maybe a different area would be good for you. So yeah, that's my take.
It's very important to know the program. It's like if you showed up to a job interview and you were like, yeah, I'm really great for this job. What is it again? So you need to really know the position that you're interviewing for. One of the really good ways to do that is to read articles by people who you want to be working with, because their research is going to be the research that you're doing, or you're going to be contributing to a similar line of research. Same thing with reading up on the program and what it has to offer. One of the worst questions you can ask is something that you could have read in a second on the website. It shows that you don't have the initiative to look for that information yourself and are trying to get it the easy way. So really know what's going on in the program that you're going to. One of the things that I did is I had fact sheets for each of the schools that I went to, and it was just the basic stats, like most people graduate in 4 years, or most people graduate in 5 years, or 6 years, or whatever it is in that program. What kind of tuition reimbursement do they offer, or do they offer? What kind of research assistantships or teaching assistantships are available your first year and beyond? What kind of practicum opportunities are available? What is the training clinic like? Is it community? Is it going to be just within the college? So things like that. That's also important for you. Do you really want to go there? If you know what the program has to offer, you can know if you're really testing them out too. And then you want to, like we said in the last one, have some good questions that are reflecting your interest in the school. You are also interviewing this school. Like Michaela said, you're devoting a lot of your life to this. So don't choose a school that you're going to be absolutely miserable at. Find something that's going to be a good fit for you. So for a lot of people, it's important that students are publishing while they're there. So do most students publish? When do they start publishing? How many articles are usually submitted and then accepted by the time that they graduate or go on to internship? Match rates are also important. Have you guys heard about this yet? Matching to internship, which is kind of that last step of the PhD program. So how well do people who are trained by this program match to the next step? A better program is one that has a better match rate. That serves you well. I already said how long does it take to get through the program, and then where do students end up? If you're going to a program that has graduated 8 academic clinical psychologists, most likely the training program is set up for that. And it's going to be more difficult for you to carve a path of wanting to go into private practice or something if the program is set up around a more academic track. So you can see what kind of program it is by what it spits out, right? So who are the people on the other side of it? And then again, questions aren't just for information, but they're to show that you're really prepared and that you want to be there. Any points on that?
The point about reading the articles, if you're applying to research positions, it's important to read articles of the people you like to work with, not just so you know what you're getting into, but it's a great conversation topic. When people talk about their own research, they love it. There's ego that you're feeding into that. The more you can get the interviewer to talk about themselves and their own research, the better you might be. Mm-hmm. So you want to know the research just to know that if you're going to be a good fit or not. But let that be the topic of conversation. Show that you're genuine interest, and they're going to love talking about it. So don't forget that you're also dealing with people during these interviews. So you want to be nice, show that you're an enjoyable person to be around with, mm-hmm. And feed their ego. If they perceive themselves as a big researcher, you don't bring up their research, or you don't. It seems like you're not aware of their research. You might actually be hurting their ego.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point.
But you don't want to suck up to them at all. That's not what I'm saying. You want to say that you respect, that you understand their research, and you'd like to know more about where they're going to go in the future. Or maybe to clarify some methodological decision. Who knows what it could be. But if you read the research, interesting questions, very specific questions are going to come up that'll make you stand out more.
And I think my best interviews are the ones where the interview slot is scheduled for like a half an hour, 45 minutes, are the ones that I went in and just totally dorked out on research questions. Like, you're doing this? Oh, that's so interesting. Have you thought about doing this in this? I've read something that da-da-da. And to get mutually excited about the work that lab is doing says, like, I'm here and I want to start tomorrow. I'm so ready to do this, and I'm so interested in what you're doing. Here's what I can contribute. So I think it's great to say, like, I love your work, and I'm really interested in that too. I want to be part of that. I want to help contribute to the work that your lab is doing. So that's like the faculty side of it. That's really important. That's your mentor. But then the graduate students are really important too. They're the ones who are already in the program and they can give you a lot of information about it. So this is some example questions that you could ask graduate students, specifically to ask the graduate students of the person to whom you're applying to work with whom you're applying to work. Ask them, what is a mentoring style like? So a lot of times people characterize mentoring styles as really hands-off is one, really hands-on, I guess would be the other. That's probably it. Are they turning around revisions really quickly? Do you ever see them? Are they kind of absent? Does it take a month or two to get feedback? And it depends who you are and what kind of feedback you want. Some people really like to have a lot closer supervision. Somebody checking in on them every week, somebody who's willing to set up meetings. And some people feel really stifled by that. They'd rather be like, I'm cool, I've got my research under control, I'll let you know if I need any help. So you want to find a match with the person who's going to be mentoring you. Also important, how well graduate students work together. You can kind of observe that in people's interactions when you're there. You can do like some behavioral observations while you're sitting in the lunchroom. But you can also ask that. Do people get along? Are you co-authors on each other's papers? Things like that. What class load is like. That's another thing you can kind of get information about on the website before you go visit, is what's expected of people. But then just qualitatively, what does it feel like? Do you guys feel really overwhelmed by the number of classes you take? Here, it's set up so the class load tapers off and the hands-on experiences ramp up the longer that we're in this program. And so to ask, when do you start doing that hands-on work? What is the schedule of classes? Asking people if they feel supported. Financial situation, again, is tuition covered? Is it half covered? What kind of assistantships are available? And then ask them about their life too. So if you came and interviewed at DeKalb and you said like, how do you like the city? Most of the graduate students are like, yeah, it's fine. Like, we like this school and you can find things to do.
If you look hard.
What's that?
If you look hard.
If you look hard. But I think most people can say like, but if you like to go to the city, it's half an hour to the train and then you're in Chicago within an hour. It's no problem. Or we're really close to O'Hare, so it's not a problem. People don't all live in DeKalb either. Some people have partners that might work in the city, and so they'll live in the suburbs. So a good question to ask: how do you like what's your life like? How do you like the city? Then just ask people about program strengths and weaknesses. What do you like about it? What do you think maybe could be better? And then just again a happiness question. Anything to add on questions to ask grad students?
All these questions that the grad students will start off with a sigh, like, I guess, and then they'll clarify that. But it's because, the grad students are working really hard, and, it's not all about being happy. It's a nice little outcome to have, but, hopefully what happens to a lot of people is school changes for you drastically. You go in from it, an undergraduate is a lot of fun for a lot of people and exciting, and graduate school is very, very focused on your career, and it's a long marathon too. So it's not all about being happy. In fact, the times where I'm more happy is when I'm being less productive. So, expect those sighs, but hear the rest of what they have to say. And that'll give you a good sense of if they're really enjoying it in a professional sense, not just in an emotional sense.
Right. It's going to be hard.
And I would say a caveat to this would be, during the interview, there's a lot of people with you, and so when you're with a graduate student, you're staying with another applicant. Be respectful of also the graduate student. I was with, in another interview somewhere, and a graduate student or an applicant kept asking questions. What's I like financial situation, getting more deeper into all the details about the program and the city. And I was exhausted hearing her ask these questions. And I could just see that graduate students like, oh my God, there's a level to a respect of how many questions you can ask without overtiring the graduate student, because that is also reflecting on you. Like, this person's aggravating me with all these questions, and do I like this person? Would I vote for this person to be in the program? Do I like them? And so also respect that line.
I think that might be on the next one, is about respect. When you come to interview, that might have been. at the
So be curious but not overbearing.
Yeah.
Basically.
So actually, when you're actually at the interview, you're asking questions of the faculty, you're asking questions of the students. That could be before and after while you're meeting with them or you're staying at somebody's house. You are on at all times, so the interview season is exhausting. You're flying all over the place. You're staying on very kind people's futons with their dog because you said it was fine. It's fine, but oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. But you're still on. So like, even if you get kind of crabby at night, just maybe like don't say anything at all instead of saying something really crabby, because those interactions still play into whether or not you're going to be someone that they want to see in that program. That's true also at social events. Sometimes they have, like, the night before the interview, they'll have pizza with their grad students, or here we have dinner with the faculty, and you're on. Those are extended parts of the interview as well. I think this is an interesting point. I didn't think about wearing anything memorable. I thought about wearing something that I would be comfortable in, I wouldn't be messing with at all, and that looked presentable. I think it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed. You can always take off a jacket. You can't put one on if you show up and everyone else is in suits. I don't think any interview I went to had suits, but there were definitely people who were. Well, I guess there were men that wore suits to some of the interviews that I went to.
Blazers.
But a blazer is always better to not look like you just kind of like walked in randomly off the street for this interview, that you really prepared for it.
Yeah, most of my interviews we wore suits though,
Mhm.
so I think it maybe depends on your personal style, but
Yeah.
you should look business,
Mm-hmm.
ready to go.
Yeah. One of the things our clinic director reminds us of with dress code is if you look at yourself in the mirror and you think you look really good, you should probably change. So you're not trying to look fly, you're trying to look professional. So just think of that. And then appropriate skills. We've already talked about this a little bit. Don't talk too much or too little. Don't start telling them all about your personal life and how you can't wait to find out about all these clinical diagnoses so you can start diagnosing yourself and your family. And let me tell you about my aunt. Just too much information. You don't want to go there. Same thing, just general propriety. Don't talk about offensive topics and be polite. And one of the best things that I received after people that stayed with me was a thank you note. It could be a thank you email if you don't have their address, but just saying thank you so much for your hospitality. I know that you got up early to bring me to the bagel breakfast that started at some ungodly hour of like 5:45 a.m. because you wanted to be there early because it's your interview, and we understand that. So we want to be able to support you, and stayed up until 11:30 answering all my questions, sleeping on my futon that I made sure I vacuumed the house for you. Not that I never vacuum my house. Not very often. But just to say thank you. Thank you for your hospitality. Thank you for taking your time to talk to me.
Here, it was a series of interviews. So in the morning, I'm already like blinking out. I'm trying to forget. You're gonna get really tired during that day, so energy bars and lots of water. It's like a group interview to introduce the program a little bit more. Not a group interview, it's just like a group gathering, presentation. And then you have a set of times where you're supposed to meet with certain faculty, and you also have some times to visit lab rooms, at least in this program. And then you could meet with different kinds of faculty. I think they set it up for you before you come in here on who you'll meet, at what time, how long, 30 minutes, an hour, things like that. And then I think the ones with the graduate students are not as structured. They're more of interview for you. I mean, they're still interviewing you, but it's not like...
It's not a sit-down face-to-face.
Like-
Usually it is, open lab hours.
What are your questions?
Yeah.
Like things like not like they're grilling you a lot.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're looking to figure out who's going to show initiative to go to those grad student hours and ask the grad students important questions. So, yeah, it's usually the grad student interviews are less structured.
That social events, I had an interview where there was, we were all meeting at someone's house, a graduate student, and we had there's wine, and so we're like, okay, like this is a social event, but don't get drunk. Yeah, so there were some moments where like, is this person applying? Like, they're a little inappropriate, and so just make sure that you watch your behavior, because that's also being scrutinized. Like everything is an interview. Like even if it's just like a casual get together, lunch, they're looking at you, and so just
Yeah.
be your best self.
Yeah, definitely. 20%. Yeah, I think I've seen estimates between 10 and 20% of applicants get interviews.
How was that for you guys?
Expensive.
Take out that credit card, be like, I'll pay you back. Yeah.
Yeah, I think anything you can do to start saving before you apply. So calculate what it's going to cost for you to apply to the schools, but then also calculate in how much travel expenses
Right.
you're going to have. So, you know, you really need to be saving up for this process.
But staying with a graduate student, if they offer it, is a great way to cut down on costs. You don't have to rent a car to drive yourself in. They'll usually drive you in. You don't have to pay for a hotel. Yeah.
So I interviewed in a group here, and it was me and 3 other people. So one of the things, it was really hard for me to get a word in during that interview, so that was not real great for me, but some of the applicants like wouldn't let you get a word in, so like if you're going to be that person that's talking a lot, be respectful and maybe even turn to your the other people
Mhm.
interviewing with you and be like, what do you think about that? Like show consideration during a group interview for other people and
So-
try to say something if you can. I think for me, they just ask like generally like, what do you guys want to know?
Mhm.
But they could ask you a specific question. Yeah, I think that would really vary. Really, like if you know that there's a weakness, stress how you overcame that weakness. So, like I know that this, like for me, like talking in front of people is not my strong suit.
And now you're a 102 TA.
And now I'm a 102 TA and doing this. So really stress, like, yes, I know this is my weakness, but I'm doing these things to overcome it. And yeah, definitely acknowledge you have weaknesses
Yeah.
and then twist it in a positive light.
And here's how I'm looking
If you come off like you have an answer and that you're positive about it and you're not putting yourself down, it's not like you're saying, oh, yeah, I'm really bad at speaking in front of other people's, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Oh, it's just, I can't even think about it. You know, then you're like, then what are you doing? So, or you could just like, I haven't really had exposure to this. I haven't been
Sure.
able to speak in front of people a lot, but I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about that and just to be able to present myself that way, whatever,
Yeah.
positive, blah, blah, blah. So.